I'm here with actor Mike Manning, who is currently starring on Beyond the Gates, the brand new CBS soap opera that debuted in February. And it has been off to quite a start on that show. I don't know that I've ever seen a soap opera be that flashy. All these things happen within like the first 2 weeks. What's it been like to be a part of it?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I obviously have never been a part of a release of a soap opera from its inception. This is the first brand new soap opera in 25 years.
Mhm.
And so it's great because when I was on Days of Our Lives, I felt like I was, sort of it's like when there's a treadmill that's already going and then you jump on and you run as fast as you can and you hope that you don't fall off. That's what it felt like jumping into that show because it was a well-oiled machine. The people had been working together for a long time. And so I just kind of jumped in and just ran as fast as I could to try to keep up.
Right.
With this show, I think that there has been extra care put into creating this world from scratch and creating these characters and creating these relationships and these people, and it's been a really special experience. I love the people I'm working with. I love the show. And I also love the passion behind it. I feel like not only is CBS really excited about it and putting a lot of, firepower behind the release and getting a lot of people talking about it. And then you have Procter and Gamble, who is a company that's been a part of soap operas since the beginning. And then you have the NAACP, which is also a producing partner on this film, pushing it for like the civil rights diversity aspect of it. So
Right.
there's just so many reasons to be excited about the show, and so far the response has been positive, and I've loved seeing everybody's comments on Twitter and threads and everything. So yeah, it's been great.
What attracted you to the role? He's a big departure from Crazy Charlie.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the reasons that I liked this role. I like this role is that he is not crazy, at least not yet. Just kidding. That's not a spoiler. Of just no,
Right, yeah.
he's
He'll
he's
be
not
out of the
crazy.
gates, not beyond them.
I know. We need to get this guy out of the gates.
Yeah.
No, so it's nice because for whatever reason in my career, a lot of times I've played the bad guy, I've played the villain, and so it's nice to play somebody that is a good guy, and he's sort of wholesome. He cares about his family. For anybody listening to this, watching this that isn't not familiar, so on the show on Beyond the Gates, I play Smitty is what everybody calls him, but it's Bradley Smith, or
Mhm.
so it's Smitty. He was an investigative journalist, and he sort of gave that up to marry a congressman and to adopt two kids and to form a family. And when we meet him in the story, he is sort of realizing that his kids are a little bit older and they're busy with school, busy with other things, and he has a lot of free time and he wants to go back to work. He wants to scratch that journalistic itch, that political itch. And so that's exciting. And then obviously, his husband opposes that, and there's conflict and all that stuff that makes a soap opera fun. But for me, it was nice because I there was a short time that I lived in Washington, D.C., and I thought I was going to go into politics, and I quickly came to my senses. But activism and politics has always been something that's been in my blood, and so it's really, really exciting to play a character on a show that I'm having fun, working with everybody and having fun with the character, and then also I'm one of the political characters in the show. So Beyond the Gates takes place in Fairmont Crest,
Mhm.
and it's sort of a wealthy community in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. And so you have characters in the show that are political. They're either, my husband is a member of Congress. His uh, grandfather is a senator who was involved with the civil rights movement, and so you have a lot of history. They all he formed he married he's played by Clifton Davis. His name's Vernon in the show. And then he married Tamara Tooney, who is a EGOT winner, a diva. They sort of formed this super couple and the Dupree family. And then they have kids, they have, everything else, and they sort of start this family tree. And so the show centers around this wealthy Black family called the Duprees.
Mhm.
and then I married into the family. So it's fun. It has all of the drama and the ingredients of a soap, but
Mhm.
it also has that political kind of element to it,
Yeah.
which makes me it just adds like an extra layer of sort of fun that I can play as that character.
So now I've been in the soap community both in print and digital, and I always have these like wild like theories because I've seen so much happen. The timeline of when you were not a political reporter and the dreams that Martin is having, while not spoiling it, do they have any sort of connection that you know of?
So I purposely have sort of been staying naive to
Mhm.
exactly what's in the dreams, just because for me as a character, as playing Smitty, when I hear about the truth behind the dreams, I
Yeah.
want it to be fresh and I want it to be surprising and I want to be impacted by that emotionally. So I personally am not reading so far ahead in the scripts that I find out what that is because, I don't want to know everything. I want to find out fresh and have those reactions be honest. Uh, so I don't know everything,
Mhm.
but I will say that I have a pretty good idea of some of the things,
Okay.
and
Yeah, don't
um,
spoil
and
it.
it,
We don't need to get
I'm
you
not gonna
fired
spoil. I'm
twice
not gonna.
now.
I'm not gonna spoil it. But I will say it's very, to me, good television, whether it's daytime or primetime, or movies too. It's good drama is when you give a good character two bad decisions
Hmm.
and then you watch them choose, and then you watch the fallout.
Yeah.
And I think we're geared towards giving Smitty two bad decisions, and I think we're going to see the fallout. And I don't know what that's going to be, honestly,
Yeah.
but I'm very excited for what's coming up.
That's awesome. And you guys are the adoptive parents of a teenage boy and girl. What's it like
Yes,
playing the father of teenagers?
yeah. So I've never
Considering you look like
played.
you're about the same age as them.
Yeah, I am. So it's funny. When I flew to Atlanta, so I was living in Los Angeles. I flew to Atlanta to meet the cast and do the table read, and I'm meeting everybody for the first time. And I could see some of the producers like kind of look at me and be like, "Wow, you look kind of young." And I remember going to props the next day. So we had our table read, and then once we started doing like a wardrobe fitting and everything else with the wardrobe department. I was like, yeah, let's do like sweaters. Let's age
Yeah.
them up a little bit. And then I went to props and I was like, how do we feel about glasses?
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to make it believable that I'm actually a father
I don't know
instead
that it's
of
unbelievable because you don't look any older than Brandon, who plays your husband. I think that I don't think that it suspends belief. I meant for you as a like playing a father of
Oh
teenage.
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, well, in the beginning, I was kind of unsure how that dynamic would be, but now that I've worked with with Brandon for a while now, and with the actors that play Naja and Jaden, who play Samantha and Tyrell,
Yes.
I'm loving the dynamic so much. They do such a great job, and I think that adding the kids to the dynamic between Brandon and I, between Martin and Smitty. I think that it just it adds another layer of complexity when we're trying to deal with real life things and then the kids are there, so it's almost like you have to hide certain things and then you can't talk about it, and you have to stop yourself from exploding, and I find myself as Smitty having to censor certain thoughts and ideas a little bit more when the kids are around, which is really really fun because it's added. I've never had to do that before. Of course, like in other projects, your character is hiding secrets or they have an objective, or all the things, but never before have I been in a situation where I have to. There's a lot of dualities that we're playing, and it's actually taking this role and being a father on camera has helped me understand my own parents a little bit more
Yeah.
in terms of like they'll say or do something in front of the kids, and then like behind closed doors I'm assuming they have other conversations, and I'm like, wow, that's really interesting, that family dynamic. I This is the first time I've ever played a father, This is the first time I've ever played a married man on Married to Another Man
Hmm.
on network television and on an hour-long drama.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's just a lot of cool firsts for me with this show, with this character. And it's also, the entire show. It's not only is it the first soap in 25 years,
Yeah.
but it's also the first soap to center around a black family right from the start. I know there was Generations back in like 89,
Yeah.
90, and that included a black family, and from what I hear, people loved that show. But this is really truly the first of its kind in terms of, the black family is the nucleus of this entire show, and then
Exactly.
the Dupree family, and then they sort of built the world around that. And
Hmm.
I think that that is another reason that people are so excited about this, because this show is more reflective uh, in our 2025 world of
Absolutely.
our 2025 world in my opinion, some of the soaps that we've been seeing for the last 5 decades.
Yeah, the production values on the show. I mean, the lighting on that show is absolutely stunning. How well
Everybody looks
lit.
so good.
I
I
know, it's
watched the show
crazy.
back. I watched the show back, and of course, I've met every single one of the cast members, the contract roles, and we've become friends. And we see each other, on set in the makeup room and everything else. But like, I haven't actually had scenes with everybody, and there's a lot of scenes that I'm not a part of. So I'll be watching the show now, trying to wrap my head around the world, just in case, because soaps, there's one every single day. So when
Yeah,
I was on days, I wouldn't watch it every day. But for this one, I'm watching it. And the first reaction that I had is exactly what you just said. I'm like, wow, everybody looks so good.
they do.
Like,
It's
is it the
crazy.
lighting? Is it the makeup? Like, what's going on?
The
Everybody's
clothes.
dressed to the nines.
Yeah,
It's
Carla Mosley's got great clothes on the show. And she changes
Carla.
outfits about 5 times an episode. So it's like,
She,
where are you
she
getting all these
does.
clothes? They're awesome.
She does. Carla Mosley is my spirit animal. I love her so
See?
much. She's
Yeah.
so talented. She's so great. She is the kindest person that you will ever meet. I've known her so she and I did a charity play like 10 years ago in Los Angeles. It was like a one night only kind of thing, but we did like a play and everybody did different acts. And it was all centering around like youth homelessness. And
Yes.
so we were doing this thing as a fundraiser, and she was my scene partner, and I worked with her, and I just remember thinking, "Wow, she is so good." And then now seeing her name on the call sheet and finding out that she was a part of this project, it was another reason why I felt comfortable moving to Atlanta and uprooting my entire life to be a part of the show, because I was like, well, at least there'll be a familiar face in
Right.
Carlo.
And how are you navigating the move? Has it been not bittersweet? It's not maybe not quite that dramatic, but how's it, being down there relatively on your own, other than, your new cast members?
Yeah, well, I mean, Brian, I'll be honest with you. With with COVID sort of being the first blow that was
Mm.
dealt to Los Angeles, and after that, a lot of self tapes and auditions and meetings and directors meet sessions and everything went from in person to on Zoom or self tapes. So that was sort of the first f- aspect of me thinking, oh, do I have to live in Los Angeles?
Right.
And then because I love Los Angeles, I love my friends. I've created a life there. I have had lived there for 15 years. And but then COVID kind of changed things, and then the SAG strike happened, and a lot of my friends and a lot of producers and crew members and everything sort of moved out of Los Angeles, and so it was last year that it was during the summer, and I remember it was like July, I think, and I remember thinking to myself, man, the cost of living in LA is so high, and there are so many other things happening in other states. Like could I live out of Los Angeles at this point in my life? And I remember thinking that, and I was like, you know what? Atlanta might be a nice place to live if I ever wanted to move. And honest to God, 3 weeks later, I found out about this project. So I felt like it was a universe thing. I felt like whatever you want to believe in or anybody wants to believe in, God or the universe or whatever, I feel like when I'm keeping my eyes open and my heart open to change and I'm really honest about like, oh, this is kind of what I want to do, or these are some of my goals. Call it manifesting, call it whatever. I find that the universe sends me little hints sometimes and little nuggets of like, okay, Mike, try this. And I don't think it was a coincidence where I honestly said the words out loud. I think that I could move to Atlanta, and then 3 weeks later, I found out about the show. And I think that so going into this experience and moving, thinking that it's the right thing to do and that I'm on the right path, it took away a lot of the anxiety that I think I would have felt otherwise if I wasn't sure if I wanted to move here.
Now, your character Charlie was a little bit, he wasn't a great guy, let's be honest. I know a lot of actors always talk about how it's more fun to play a villain, but you're actually originating a role on a different soap opera. Not that you didn't originate Charlie, but that's got to be just as exciting, I would think, being on a new daytime drama, versus even going to play a villain somewhere else. Is that how it feels?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Charlie was a lot of fun, and I am so grateful for the writers and Ron Carlivati at the time, and the team and everybody that allowed me to be a part of that show and play Charlie. And you're right, it was so much fun playing the bad guy. I kind of had the best of both worlds because in the beginning, I was kind of the good guy, and I genuinely Charlie at the time was like genuinely falling in love with Claire and experiencing those things. But then I got to go crazy and kidnap my mom and all the fun soap things.
Yeah.
And working with Tamara Braun was incredible. And I think that I'm grateful for that because I think it prepared me for this show. Like I said, I think we all recognize that we were creating these characters and this world from scratch, and they were ours. It's nobody came in trying to as a recast or trying to fill a role or trying to whatever. So it was all of us sort of putting our imaginations together, being like, what could these dynamics be in this world? And that was so exciting. And I think because of my experience on Days of Our Lives, I knew what to do and what not to do a little bit more.
Mhm.
And I think I was able to create in Smitty a more dynamic character
Mhm.
because yes, he is a good guy, but there are absolutely moments that we'll see where he loses his cool, he stands up for himself, he gets a little loud, he gets a little angry while trying to be this responsible, reserved, sensitive father.
Mhm.
And it's really fun to play those dynamics. And I honestly, I'm not sure that I would have been able to play those dynamics in daytime in the same way had I not had that experience with Charlie.
Do you think now that, I mean, essentially that he's going to be going back to work, are you going to be able to uh, kind of work back into the scenes some of your activism, like in what he's reporting on, and try to get your message out a little bit on things that are important to you?
I mean, playing a gay character on a black-led soap opera on daytime
Mhm.
as the first show in 25 years, I think just existing, I
Yeah.
think is a form of activism and representation for a lot of different people. And the thing that I love about this show is, uh, people on the show, they have different ages, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different socioeconomic, classes, different everything. And so I really truly applaud the writers, Michelle Valjean, being the head writer for creating this and the showrunner creating this idea and really mapping out this world to be reflective of 2025 and reflective of the soap that she wishes she had as a little girl.
Yeah.
And Sheila Ducksworth, shepherding this with CBS, and then Julie Carruthers, sort of leading the charge on set and keeping everything organized. I mean, it's these three powerful women that kind of came together to make this happen.
Mhm.
And I think that this soap just existing is a form of
Absolutely.
activism in and of itself. And I feel like that's why the NAACP was willing to come on board and sort of be a partner on this, is because they recognize the importance of this show. They recognize the importance of breaking down walls and breaking stereotypes. And how do we do that? It's much easier to discriminate against facts and figures and ideas. It's harder to discriminate against a real flesh and blood human person and
Absolutely.
a character in a world that you're just seeing try to exist and try to live. I think that when we see these characters, we start to see similarities in ourselves. Whereas when we read headlines and we, turn on the news and a lot of, the news, they are polarizing because that's what gets ratings.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to get angry about an idea, and we identify with our ideas in this culture so much that if somebody doesn't agree with us, then they're the enemy and we don't like them and we're separate. But if we just watch them exist and
Mhm.
realize that they have the same hopes, dreams,
Mhm.
loves, fears that we do, then we sort of find this commonality. And it is my hope that that is what this show can do for the audience that watches it.
That's beautifully said. You are going to be participating in a fan event. You do a lot of fan events in May down in Florida. Are you excited to see the reaction to people coming up to you now that you're playing this new character instead of just talking about your previous work, where you're now getting, they're going to be excited that you're in a new project.
Yeah, it's always fun. The event I think you're referring to is the Samantha's Friends event in
Correct.
Florida
Yep.
in May, and I've been attending that specific charity event for a while now. And the thing that's cool is that the money that they raise goes to different charities, different causes, so it feels good. But it's also, like you said, a place where I can meet new fans and interact with existing soap fans and talk about what's going on. And it's different. It's because I kept going to the events after they killed Charlie for the third time on
Yeah.
Days of Our Lives. And it was fun, but it was kind of like, oh yeah, we miss Charlie, Mike, we miss you on daytime, we miss you on daytime. And so I'm genuinely looking forward to going there and having something to talk about that's in real time. They would have just watched the episodes of that week, and
Right.
they can tell me what they think and tell me about the characters and the choices I'm making that they like, that they don't like. I really, part of working in daytime, that an aspect that I love is the fan base,
Mhm.
and how much the fan base cares about the shows, about the characters, about the decisions that these characters are making, because they're inviting us into their living rooms every single day. It's not like prime time where it's kind of once a week and you forget about it. It's every single day. And so I think that I didn't quite understand the fandom going into Days of Our Lives, and now a couple of years later, I definitely understand it with Beyond the Gates, and I cannot wait to hang out with everybody and to hear what they think.
I'm sure you won't be getting any complaints. I know I myself was extremely happy to read your casting announcement for such a groundbreaking project and to have somebody with your talent, lend a voice to that character. It was really great to see you
Thank you.
cast on a groundbreaking show like that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike, for taking the time to speak with me. I look forward to chatting again soon. I'm sure there'll be plenty to chat about, and I look forward to round two
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thanks for your time, and for everybody watching. Thank you.
anytime.